I let my cousin stay in my apartment while I worked double shifts. One night, I came home early and found the locks changed. She leaned out the window and said, "You said I could stay. You didn't say for how long." My name was still on the lease. She had reported me as a trespasser. The officer asked me to leave. I slept on the train that night, but the next morning. I'm 38. I live in Worcester, Massachusetts. Been living in the same apartment for over 3 years. It's not big, not fancy, but it was mine. A one-bedroom on the second floor of an old brick walk-up near Grafton Street. I work long hours at a diner. Sometimes doubles, sometimes night shifts. The pay isn't great, but it's steady. I've never missed rent. I keep to myself. A few months ago, my cousin Malia called me out of nowhere. I hadn't talked to her much in recent years. We were close as kids, but she drifted. She told me she was trying to get away from an abusive boyfriend down in Springfield. She was crying on the phone. Said she didn't have anywhere to go. Needed a place to stay just for a couple weeks while she looked for work and saved up. I told her she could crash on my futon. I was trying to do the right thing. She showed up with 2 suitcases, no job, and no money. First few days, she stayed out of the way. But within a week, she started taking over the place. Leaving clothes all over. Running the TV loud. Sleeping till noon. Every day it got worse. I'd come home from work and dishes would be piled up. My food was gone. My bathroom was a mess. I'd find my towels soaked on the floor and the toilet not even flushed sometimes. I asked her to help clean up. She gave me attitude. Then she started having guys over. Not just friends. Strangers. Once, I walked in and found some dude in my robe on the couch watching SportsCenter. He just looked at me like I was the one intruding. I asked her who he was and she said, "Don't worry about it." I told her this wasn't working. She flipped out. "You think you're better than me because you work a crappy diner job and live in this dump?" I didn't say anything. Just walked into my room and locked the door. I started hiding my cash in my shoes and taking anything valuable with me to work. That went on for another few weeks. Then one night, everything changed. It was a Wednesday. I was supposed to work a late shift, but business was slow. My manager said I could head out early. I was happy, figured I'd get a hot shower and maybe order a pizza. I didn't tell Malia I was coming back early. I didn't think I had to. I got to the building around 9:30 p.m. Walked up the stairs and pulled out my key. It didn't work. I tried again. Nothing. I tried the deadbolt. Nothing. I stood there for a second, thinking maybe I was at the wrong door. I wasn't. I knocked. Nothing. I buzzed. No answer. I knocked harder. Still nothing. Then I saw a light go on in the living room, and Malia leaned out the window. She had this look on her face. Like a cat that caught a bird. "You said I could stay," she said. "You didn't say for how long." I stared at her. "Are you serious right now?" I changed the locks. "What the hell, Malia? This is my place." "Not anymore." I couldn't believe it. I told her to open the door. She laughed and shut the window. I stood there in shock for a few minutes. Then I called the cops. They came about 20 minutes later. 2 officers. I explained everything. Showed them my ID, my lease, even had some pay stubs with my address on it. Malia came down and told them I had moved out. That she'd been living there for weeks. That I said she could have the place. She said I was unstable and had been harassing her. She had her mail forwarded. I didn't know that until she pulled out a letter from the state addressed to her at my apartment. The officers looked at each other. One pulled me aside. "Sir, I believe you," he said. "But she's established residency. You're going to need to go to housing court. This is a civil issue now. I live here. You'll have to go through the courts. So what? She gets to stay and I sleep on the street. I'm asking you to leave peacefully. I wanted to scream. I walked away. I didn't know where to go. I sat on the bench outside the apartment for a long time. I called a couple friends, but it was late. No one picked up. So I walked to Union Station and slept on the train platform. Cold metal bench. Thin hoodie. I laid there awake most of the night, thinking about how fast things had gone to hell. I was exhausted. I was humiliated. But the next morning, I got up, found a public bathroom, washed my face, and went straight to the courthouse. I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I had no idea how far it would go. I walked into the Worcester housing court that morning with zero sleep and a sour taste in my mouth. My phone battery was at 5%, and I hadn't even brushed my teeth. I was too angry to care. I asked the clerk how to file an emergency motion. She handed me a thick packet of forms and told me I'd need to request a court date. I filled out everything sitting on the hallway floor. I wrote down every detail. How Malia moved in, how she changed the locks, how she lied to the cops. I attached copies of my lease, my pay stubs, and even a utility bill with my name on it. They gave me a hearing date. 2 weeks away. 2 more weeks of her living in my place while I slept wherever I could. I felt sick. I tried crashing at a coworker's for a night, but he had roommates and no space. I couldn't afford a motel. I parked in the diner's lot and dozed off in my car a few nights. One night, the manager found me and said I couldn't keep doing that, bad for business. I was running on fumes. I'd go to work every day, take orders with a fake smile, then spend the night in parking lots or 24-hour diners nursing coffee I couldn't afford. I could barely shower. I started to stink. My boss pulled me aside and asked if I was using drugs. That's when it hit me, Malia didn't just take my home. She was wrecking everything. The court day finally came. I walked into that room with a fire in my chest. I told the judge everything, straight from the heart. I brought every document I could find. I explained how she moved in as a guest, how she refused to leave, how she faked mail to seem like a tenant. Then it was her turn. She looked cleaned up. Makeup, new clothes. She told the judge I'd abandoned the apartment. Said I was unstable and had mental health issues. She said she was scared for her safety. The judge looked at both of us. She sighed. Then said, "This is messy. I'm granting a hearing in 2 more weeks to review full testimony and documentation. Until then, the living arrangement remains." I felt like the floor dropped out under me. I had no choice but to wait. But that night, I decided something. If I couldn't get my apartment back the legal way fast enough, I'd make Malia want to leave. I knew the building better than she did. I knew the landlord, the neighbors, the cracks in the system. I just had to be smart. I started small. I went to the landlord, not management, but the guy who actually owned the building. Mr. Bertelli. Old-school Italian man who lived in the North End of Boston. I'd helped him once when his car broke down in the snow. He remembered me. I told him what was happening. He frowned. Said Malia hadn't signed anything. "Only your name is on the lease." "Then why can't I get in?" I asked. "Because you let her in," he said. "Tenant laws protect her now. But let me make some calls." That same week, she got a notice of inspection. Fire code compliance. I watched from across the street as she opened the letter and panicked. The next day, I filed a noise complaint with the city. She'd had music blasting again, thinking I wasn't around. I had video. I sent it in. Then I talked to Mrs. Henderson on the 3rd floor. She hated loud tenants. I told her Malia was having guests over all the time. She said she'd file a complaint too. And then I started showing up. Not inside. Just outside. On the sidewalk. At the gate. I'd stand there and watch. Not say a word. Just let her see me. I'd stare at the window while sipping a coffee. Sit on the curb with my phone. I was careful, not threatening. Just present. Always there. One night, I saw her peek through the blinds, see me, and quickly shut them. The next morning, I left a letter in the mailbox addressed to her. No threats. Just the court date and a copy of the lease with her name not on it. A simple message. You're not safe here. I will take everything back. She started looking nervous. Then I noticed something. A guy I'd never seen before was suddenly staying there. He looked rough. Tattoos on his neck, always twitching, always pacing. One day, I caught him screaming on the phone in front of the building. This bitch lied to me. I ain't going to jail again. I saw my chance. I followed him to the corner store and struck up a casual conversation. Told him I used to live there. Told him she lied to me too. Said she played people. He nodded. She told me she lived here alone. Said her ex was abusive. I raised my eyebrow. I'm her cousin. He looked me dead in the eye. She said you were dead. I didn't say a word. Just walked away. Something was happening inside that apartment. Something bad. And I wasn't done yet. 2 days later, I was back at the diner, scraping gum off the bottom of a table because one of the new servers didn't show up. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I picked up. You need to get your cousin out of there, a voice said. Deep. Shaky. She's mixed up with some guys. Bad ones. I don't know what she told you, but she's not who you think she is. Click. No name. No way to trace it. But I knew exactly who the call was about. I went straight to the building and waited across the street. Same spot. Same cracked sidewalk. I waited until the sun went down. And that's when I saw it, 3 guys walking up to the apartment. All of them in dark hoodies, hoods up, hands in their pockets. They didn't knock. They just went straight in. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then shouting. Not just normal shouting, panic. I heard something crash. A window? Then screaming. Then silence. The lights flicked off. My heart was racing. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even have keys to get in. So I called 911. The police came fast. Real fast. Must have been close by. They kicked the door in. 2 of the guys were already gone. But they found Malia curled up in the corner of the living room, shaking. Blood on her lip. One of the neighbors said they heard someone yell, "Where's the money, bitch?" Turns out, she'd been holding on to something. Something she wasn't supposed to have. Money? Pills? I don't know. But she brought that trouble right into my place. And it didn't stop there. While the cops were clearing out the apartment, they found a stash behind the kitchen wall. Pills, some kind of powder, maybe even fentanyl. All hidden inside a ripped cereal box, stuffed behind the cabinet paneling. I hadn't even known it was there. But my name was still on the lease. I got called into the station the next day. Detective Santiago. He didn't play around. Told me straight up that if I hadn't already filed the eviction paperwork, I'd be in way more trouble. My name was on everything. He asked, "You sure you didn't know what she was into?" I looked him dead in the eye. I thought I was helping family. He nodded slowly. Well, now you're involved. That's when I learned what Malia had really been doing. She wasn't just crashing at my place and bringing random guys over. She was dealing. Low level, maybe, but connected to people who were serious. Her ex? The one she claimed was abusive? He'd been arrested 6 months ago in Springfield with a duffel bag full of meth and an illegal Glock. She was part of his circle. And when he got locked up, people started looking for what was missing. Which somehow led to my damn apartment. I went from trying to help her, to being investigated for drug trafficking. And Malia? She disappeared. After the police visit, she just vanished. Left the apartment unlocked, half her stuff still there, dishes in the sink, trash bags in the hallway. No note. No word. The landlord called me the next morning. "You better clean that place out," he said. "You got 5 days before I change the locks again." 5 days. I walked into my apartment that afternoon. The first time in weeks. It didn't feel like mine anymore. There was broken glass on the floor. One of my chairs was missing. My bedroom had been rummaged through. All my drawers were open. My mattress was stained. The bathroom smelled like weed and old sweat. There were empty beer bottles in the tub. I stood in the middle of the living room and just stared at it all. Months of my life, wrecked. My peace, my name, my job, damn near all of it shaken up by someone I tried to help. But I wasn't done yet. Malia might have run, but I still had that court date coming. And now I had evidence. She didn't just overstay. She didn't just lie to the cops. She dragged a criminal mess into my name, into my home, and left me to deal with it. And I was going to make sure she paid for it. I spent the next 4 days cleaning up the mess she left behind. Not because I wanted to. Because I had to. My landlord said if the place wasn't cleaned out, he'd start the process to terminate my lease. I couldn't afford to lose that apartment, not after everything I'd already lost. I scrubbed the bathroom. I hauled trash bags full of her junk down 3 flights of stairs. I found used needles under the sink. Burnt foil in my bedroom closet. My own kitchen knife, my knife, was wedged under the couch cushion like it had been used for protection. I documented everything. Photos. Video. I filed it all in a folder and gave a copy to Detective Santiago. He called me 2 days later. Said Malia had been seen in Dorchester, staying with some guy who was already under watch. But she was gone before they could get there. Left behind a fake ID and some burner phones. She's scared, he said. She knows someone's looking for her. Who? I asked. Everyone. Then he paused. Be careful, okay? You're tied to her whether you like it or not. She used your name. Your address. Some of that stuff could come back to you if she doesn't show up. I didn't sleep that night. But I had a plan. I started digging. Old friends from school still lived in Springfield. I made some calls, asked quiet questions. One guy, Tim, said she used to hang out at a dive bar near Main Street. Another said she was crashing at some guy's place who ran a cleaning business, code for a front. Then I did something I wasn't proud of. I made a fake Facebook profile. Found her under a new name. Marie Leanne. She was still using photos of herself. Still posting like she wasn't on the run. One picture showed her sitting on a couch with a guy I recognized from the police report, the one with the neck tattoos. I sent the profile link to Santiago. Within a week, they had her. Springfield PD pulled her over during a traffic stop. She had a warrant for failing to appear in a different case. They searched the car. Found pills. Fake credit cards. A handgun under the seat. She tried to say it wasn't hers. But the driver flipped on her fast. I got the call while I was refilling coffee at work. She's in custody, Santiago said. And your name is off everything. You're cleared. I walked out the back door of the diner and sat down on a milk crate. My legs were shaking. I didn't realize how much weight I'd been carrying until it was gone. But that wasn't the end. I went to her arraignment. She didn't see me in the back row. She looked smaller. Tired. Eyes sunken in. She wore a county jumpsuit and chains on her ankles. She didn't look like my cousin anymore. She looked like a stranger. Her public defender tried to say she had mental health struggles. That she was trying to turn her life around. But the charges were heavy: possession with intent, fraud, weapons. She wasn't getting out. After the hearing, I walked outside and saw her mother, my Aunt Denise, standing on the courthouse steps. We hadn't spoken in years. She looked at me with red eyes. "I heard what she did to you," she said quietly. I nodded. "She almost ruined my life." She nodded too. I wish I could say I was surprised. I wanted to feel something. Maybe guilt. Maybe pity. But I didn't. I just felt cold. A few weeks later, I got a check in the mail, reimbursement from the landlord's insurance for some of the damage. Not much. But it helped. I replaced the lock. Bought a new mattress. Took a day off work for the first time in months. Just sat in my apartment and breathed. I kept thinking about all of it. How fast things went bad. How I kept trying to do the right thing and still ended up on the street. How she used me. Lied. Put a target on my back. And how I helped her walk through that door. That was my mistake. I gave her the key. And now? She's behind bars. I'm still here. But I'll never forget how fast your own blood can turn on you. And next time someone cries and says, "I just need a place to stay for a little while," I'll remember that night I slept on the train bench. And I'll say no.